Is it good to have a non-LeBron, non-Steph finals? And yes, it can be, but not if it's a bad series. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the episode of Hard Foul Radio. Appreciate you for spending some time here with me today. This is the show that values time. I value mine. You should value yours. So I appreciate you spending some of that value time here with me today. Let's get started. Normally after game one team feels really good. One team feels not so good. Normally after game one, if a team that is favored to win the series wins game one, and they win game one pretty convincingly as the Suns did last night, it usually puts it in the other team's head that, oh yeah, this other team, when they're looking across from them, that's the better team. They got more guys, and this is how series snowballs into sweeps and 5-game series. Teams that are favored and are confident and do win game one, they feel much better about themselves after winning that game one soundly. And same effect, this is how they snowball into 4 or 5-game series. Last night is one of the rare instances where both teams should feel good after game one. I know that sounds kind of corny, but hear me out. So the Suns, why should they feel good after game one? Well, obviously they should feel good because A, they won the game. B, Chris Paul played great. And Chris Paul is a guy who, despite the critiques of his playoff success, his playoff performances and his statistics are actually better, and he gets better than what he's done in the regular season. One of the few guys in NBA history, like, he actually has better playoff numbers than he does regular season numbers. Even though you could argue, oh, you're not going to get this kind of scoring output where he's putting up 30, 40, you're not going to get those every single time. Chris always elevates himself statistically in the playoffs. You also went without a great game from Devin Booker. Not a bad game, but not a great game from Devin Booker. You're going to get 1 or 2 great games from him throughout this series. So the Suns should feel really good about that. The Bucks, on the other hand, you could argue they also feel good. We weren't sure what we were going to get from Giannis this series. There was a chance people were talking about Giannis missing the entire series. He came back, looked really good last night. The Bucks actually outscored the Suns in the time that Giannis was on the court. That you got to feel really good if you're Milwaukee. When a guy is coming off an injury, getting himself back into the rotation, getting himself back into the flow of the game, usually your first game back, that's your worst game. If I'm Milwaukee and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, oh, that's Giannis's worst game we're going to get, both teams got to feel really good going into game two. Now, what needs to change for both teams? For the Suns, you're going to need some form of bench scoring. You're also going to need those 1 or 2 games from Devin Booker. Devin Booker can't just be a 19, 20 point per game guy this series. He needs to be the leading scorer in the finals. I love Chris. Chris is one of my favorite players of all time. And yes, while I do think he could give you another 1 or 2 of these 30-point games or 40-point games, Devin Booker is your primary scorer. Devin Booker needs to have 1 or 2 of those great games going forward for you to feel really good about winning the series. And I do feel good about Phoenix winning the series. For Milwaukee, what needs to change is that time that Giannis is on the bench, because depending on where his health is, I don't know if he's going to be able to give you those 40 to 45 minutes every night. So the guys, it's the time that Giannis is on the bench. That time, that's when Drew Holiday needs to step up. That's when Chris Middleton needs to step up. Brook Lopez needs to step up. PJ Tucker needs to hit a couple shots. The time that Giannis is not on the court, that is going to be super pivotal to Milwaukee's chances to win this series. Now, what's the biggest takeaway from game one? This is going to be a better series than I thought. I still think Phoenix is the better team top to bottom. I still think Phoenix is going to win the championship. Everything I said going into what I was talking about last week with the Suns and Clippers being the 2 best teams remaining, they would be either Milwaukee or Atlanta. All that I still feel is true. Milwaukee, I believe, though, with obviously having the best player, this has always been the rule of basketball. You have the best player, you have a chance. And they do have the best player. I love Chris, but Giannis is the better player right now. He's 26. He's in his prime. And if Ayton is not able to stop him from being Giannis, which is getting 30 and 10, and like I said, the wall has not worked this postseason. People talked about all last playoffs, oh, you can just wall Giannis off and you can make him a non-factor. No, the wall has not worked. Giannis has still gone out there pretty much essentially every single game, and he's been 30 and 10 against the quote-unquote wall. So the biggest takeaway, like I said, is it's going to be a better series than I thought, which is really just a win for the fans, because this had a chance to be really bad for the NBA. I don't believe you have to have LeBron James or Steph Curry in the NBA Finals to have good ratings or to have a good series, but it definitely helps. That's been a talking point the last 48 hours. Is it good to have a non-LeBron, non-Steph Finals? And yes, it can be, but not if it's a bad series. There's a reason why San Antonio-Detroit is the lowest rated finals the last 20 years. If the series isn't good and there's not that mega star LeBron, Kobe, Shaq, Steph, KD, that could have been really bad for the NBA. This looks like it's going to turn out to be a positive for the NBA. If Giannis is going out there and he's getting 30 to 35 points a night, his 10 to 12 rebounds, Chris Paul is going out there. He joined Michael Jordan as the only player in NBA history to have 30 points and 8 assists in his NBA Finals debut. He's having performances like this. Book goes out there and has a 40-point game. This can still be a very exciting finals, a very exciting series. And I will change, I know I'm backtracking after one game, my prediction to now Suns in a very exciting 6.